Well, Colonel Pfluger, you've got a special guest that will be checking in here in a little bit, but welcome into the broadcast, and thank you much for being a part of the morning show. We appreciate it.
Well, Craig, good morning. Good morning to everybody in the Permian Basin. It's always good to be with you. Obviously the circumstances right now is we're several weeks into this Schumer-led shutdown. Democrats have literally no respect for the American public as they're doing political theater. It really is disappointing. Very, very simple. We've done our job. We voted to fund the military. We've voted to fund the VA. We've voted to fund the rest of the government. It's just they need to come to the table and vote yes. But I'm happy to introduce my good friend, the Majority Leader Steve Scalise from Louisiana, a champion for oil and gas, a mentor to me, and somebody who leads our Republican conference very, very well, and really happy to have Steve joining us today to give us an update.
All right, Congressman Scalise, thanks, and tell us what you can about the update. Thanks for being a part of us here.
Sure, thank you, and thank you, August. Hello, everybody in Midland, Texas, and all other points around that are listening, because we're in really the second week, the end, kind of the beginning of the third week of this government shutdown, and it never needed to happen. And it's, if you look at why the Democrats are shutting the government down, you ask them, you'll get all kind of different answers. They'll talk about health care. They'll talk about Donald Trump. It's really to try for Chuck Schumer to appease his most radical left base. And, I think for a guy like me from Louisiana, for August, who's a leader in our conference from Texas, we came to Washington to fix this country, to get this country back on track. But if you look at Chuck Schumer, who's leading the Senate, who's led this shutdown, Chuck Schumer is representing the state of New York that is about to elect a avowed socialist as their mayor of New York City. He is afraid of AOC running against him in a primary and beating him. All the polling in New York says that AOC would beat Chuck Schumer in a primary. And so Chuck Schumer is scared to death of the people on the most radical far left, and he wants to look to them like he's fighting Donald Trump in Washington. And so the whole country's collateral damage. The whole country's being held hostage. So Chuck Schumer can look to the most loony leftist socialists in their party like he's fighting Donald Trump, because they're still unhappy with the results of the November election. And everybody else, our troops that aren't getting paid, TSA agents who flying on an airplane, going maybe to a family vacation to see a relative, all of those people that you encounter at an airport, they're working without getting paid, and that's real hardship on their families. And August and I voted to stop this from happening. We voted to fund the government. That bill is in the Senate. They voted 8 times now, Democrats have, to keep the government shut down. And I hope there's an end to it soon, but we're going to keep doing our jobs and keep being responsible in funding the government. And right now, Chuck Schumer and Democrats in Washington are proving they only care about the most radical elements, the people that you're going to see at this Hate America rally this weekend in Washington, where they fly Palestinian flags and some of them burn American flags. That's the group that they're trying to appease. It's insanity.
So-called marches in Midland, too, so I can't say we look forward to it, but the last time there was one of these, talk about weirdos, and we're just a microcosm of what's going on, so I'm sure around the country there'll be a lot of that going on. So what's next with the shutdown? The president says we're going to pay the military, Colonel. I know that's good with you, and Steve, probably with you too.
August,
well, absolutely. Yeah, and being a veteran, being a reservist myself, and having served for now 25 years, this president goes above and beyond every single time. And by the way, he's out there solving world peace and dealing with a Middle East peace deal that is absolutely historic. So he doesn't stop. He's not deterred. They can't stop him. He's going to continue on, and thank goodness he came up with a good solution for our military, so that they don't have to, they can continue to focus on the mission instead of having to focus on what they're going to put on the table for dinner, each night. And Leader, I'll yield to you.
Yeah, and thank you, August. Craig, to your question, if you look at yesterday's probably as sharp of a contrast as you can see in Washington between the two sides. And so here you have President Trump, a day off of what August just mentioned. I mean, one of the most historic things for world peace in decades. And you maybe have to go back into the Cold War, the ending of the Cold War, or beyond that, where President Trump had just come back from Israel and Egypt, where he signed historic peace deals, where hostages, the remaining living hostages, all came home and were reunited with their families, and just an unbelievable emotional moment. And, I was at the White House yesterday with President Trump, where we paid tribute to Charlie Kirk. And President Trump posthumously awarded the Congressional Medal of Freedom to Charlie, and his widow Erica was there to receive it. She was just incredibly gracious. And this is President Trump, who had just flown 30 hours around the world delivering world peace, came back to the White House and was at this ceremony as vibrant as anybody. And in the contrast is Chuck Schumer and Democrats in the Senate at the same time. At like 5:30 when we were at the White House for that ceremony, the Senate was voting down for the 8th time a basic bill just to keep the lights on. And because Chuck Schumer's just trying to appease the most radical elements of his base, with President Trump figuring out ways to pay the military, finding ways to go get world peace all during this shutdown. And what is Chuck Schumer doing? Is he worried about his job? Is he worried about doing his job? No. He's worried about trying to make happy these insane leftist, Marxist, socialists, whatever you want to call them, people that believe in chaos, that want the world to be in chaos. And that's not who President Trump is. It's surely not who August Pfluger and I are. We're going to keep doing our jobs. And, you can see who we're fighting against. We shouldn't have to be fighting against people in our own country to try to produce great results for the American people.
And Leader Scalise, I love your description. How can how can anybody be a Democrat, number one? But I love your description of these people. Why did they hate America so much? I guess because they hate Donald Trump so much, they just hate America. I'll never understand it.
Yeah, it's this weird thing that you've seen, during President Trump's first term. They called it Trump derangement syndrome. And like, for whatever reason, there were some people that no matter what Donald Trump did, they were the opposite. As Trump says the sky is blue, they're going to say the sky is red. They just don't want to do anything that agrees with Donald Trump. I mean, yesterday, after this historic world peace, I was shocked. I mean, you actually had Bill and Hillary Clinton agreeing on something for the first time I've seen in decades. Both of them were agreeing that President Trump did the right thing. But Barack Obama, who failed so many times on the world stage, Barack Obama could not even acknowledge that Donald Trump did this. Kamala Harris could not acknowledge Donald Trump had pulled off this major achievement. Neither could many Democrats in Washington. And so, August and I both represent states that have a lot of blue dogs. I mean, the term blue dog came from Louisiana. George Rodriguez, the artist, painted this dog that was blue. And, there were a lot of Democrats who were pro-life, pro-gun. They were pro-America. They wanted the country to do well. They were fiscally responsible. Today, you cannot find a blue dog in Washington. The Democrat Party in Washington has moved so far to the left. And I think in Texas, just like in Louisiana, you still have a lot of blue dogs. You still have a lot of Democrats who want the best for this country. Unfortunately, that's not where Washington is right now. The people that are about to elect Med Monty are the people running Washington. The AOC wing, the Omar and Tlaib wing of the Democrat Party is who's in charge right now. And they just hate Donald Trump. And anything he does, they want to root against. They were against tax cuts. They were against border security. They were against energy production, something August and I fight for all the time. Things that are going to be good for American strength, be good for jobs in America. We surely know in Texas and Louisiana what that means to our economies. Every Democrat in Washington voted against all three things I just mentioned. All three things: lower tax rates, higher energy production, and border security. Every Democrat in Washington is against it. So if you're a Democrat anywhere in America and you're for any of those things I talked about, the Democrat Party in Washington no longer represents you, and you wonder why they lost the election. You wonder why they're going to lose next year.
House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, Congressman August Pfluger, and men, we're out of time. We got to run. We'll let you get to work.
Well, God bless you.
I think Steve and the work that he does, he's a courageous leader. He tells the truth in Washington, D.C., which is very hard for those Democrats and the socialist, radical, Marxist wing to hear. which is very tough. But Steve, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for the fight that you've led to preserve and enhance American energy dominance, which obviously in Midland and Odessa, Texas, is very important.
Well, thank Midland and Odessa for sending a great leader like August Pfluger up to Washington to fight for those values.
All right, thank you much. And, Colonel, we will talk to you soon. Thank you much. God bless you and yours.
God bless.